And we're back. Welcome back to the Auto Authorities. My name is Jay, coming to you live. And we have the Gerald Bentley back for part two because we're going to really have some fun today. And we're going to talk about all the things that you will never be able to find on the internet. And you will hear that today. Are you ready to do this, everybody? Let's roll.
Have you ever felt like you were taken for a ride while buying, selling, or repairing your car? Well, not anymore. I'm Jay, and this is the podcast to tell you what to watch out for, whether you are buying, selling, or repairing your car. With over 26 years of automotive experience, we are the Auto Authorities. This podcast is sponsored by iAutoAgent.com. We're real estate agents for cars.
Welcome back to the Auto Authorities podcast. My name is Jay, coming to you live for part two. Are you ready for an auto market shift? And we have standing by the Gerald Bentley with Dealership Rescue and Wrestling with Sales standing by. But before we get going, I want to thank iAutoAgent.com. That's I like integrity, autoagent.com. They are real estate agents for people's cars. They will sell your car for you at no cost to you. They will market list. They will even meet the strange people that you don't want to meet and give you a check right at the end. And that way you don't have to do anything. And then when you're ready to buy your most favorite dream car, we will do that for you. That's right. We will keep you from ever having to go into the dealership until you approve the deal. We will find the vehicle, we will vet the vehicle, we will ensure its reliability. And literally all we do is tee it up. So you go in and pick up your car. And sometimes we can even have it delivered. And that is nationwide. And if you're just joining us and you want to watch us live, we're Tuesday at 12 p.m. on the Facebook group page. It's called the Auto Authorities Podcast. You simply click the join group button. The second way that you can watch us is going on YouTube. It's called the Auto Authorities. And you can just go to the YouTube page and watch all the recorded episodes. And the third way, you can listen to us on 19 different channels. You go to the autoauthorities.com. That's the autoauthorities.com. And you can find all the 19 different channels we are on. We are worldwide. You can find us on iTunes, Pandora, Google Podcasts, you name it. And as we talk today, I would love to hear your comments. What do you think about this information? Because we have an expert here. No, not me, just me. We have the Gerald Bentley. And without further ado, Gerald, welcome back for
Hi.
part two. Thanks for coming back.
Oh, sure. No problem.
Yeah, Gerald, tell everybody just real quick a little bit about your background, a little bit about what you do.
Sure. Well, we have dealershiprescue.net, which is a auto dealership consulting. We can dig in and look at your CRM usage, look at your sales processes, how you're contacting the customers, get into pricing, inventory, and then also have a podcast, Wrestling with Sales, which unlike a lot of the podcasts, because most sales podcasts are closing techniques. And they're great, but if you don't have the right mindset, if you don't have a championship mindset, if you're not willing to learn from everybody you talk to and figure out what makes people successful, it's not going to help you. So try to talk to people that are successful in anything and kind of focus on combat sports because you need to have that mentality that you're going to keep going, that you're going to fight, that you're going to win. And if you don't have that, it's really hard to be successful in much of anything. This week we had on Medusa, who's in the WWE Hall of Fame. She was a pro wrestling champion for 3 companies and is the first woman to be a championship monster truck driver. Talked about her book, and it's just a good look at what separates somebody, what makes somebody a champion. And if you can pull something from that and use it in your day-to-day life, it's going to help you be better. So just taking different looks at how to be successful in sales. For that, I did morning drive sports radio in Cleveland, did some TV, play-by-play, and I've been a sales manager for over 20 years at various dealerships, import, domestic. So really diverse background in automotives.
And folks, like, Gerald is seriously the one guy, like, when I talk cars, this guy knows his stuff, and it's from experience, but he also has so much inside information for us today. And I tend to agree with him a lot, not all the time, but that's what makes this fun. And I really, what I want to go into, and I want to talk about, like, Carvana and what you think is going on with this company, because we have hit this so many times. But man, like, truly, Gerald, the reason why I do this is because I truly care about people, and I know you do too. And this company has done so many illegal practices over their time. It is just unbelievable to me that they are still around. They're a horrible company. And you know what? If you don't agree with me, you can put in the comments section, because you cannot find anything good about them online, unless you really, really hunt, and it's usually on their website. What are your thoughts of what's going on here with Carvana and Vroom? Let's put Vroom into this too.
Yeah. Well, you know what? I mean, I think the single biggest takeaway that dealerships need to remember is Carvana and Vroom's rise is simply the fault of the dealerships. The reason why they were able to get to where they were is because people's perception of car dealerships is so bad. It's like Congress, right? Everybody hates Congress, but they like their congressman. The people that you talk to at the dealership that you work at, yeah, they like you because they bought the cars from you. They trust you. They see you as a person. The customers coming in off the street, they look at you as a stupid idiot weasel trying to rip them off. And that's their mindset. And until you get into some conversation, until you find out about that person, that's where they're at. They're going to rip me off. They're idiots. They're weasels. They're trying to rip me off. I can't trust them. I can't say anything to them. Carvana came out and said, hey, we're a better way to buy a car. We're simple. We're easy. And it was able to work for them because they were marketing against the dealership. So dealerships need to take that as a wake-up call, which I think some have, but the market forces that have kept dealerships from expanding their used cars are now coming back to hurt Carvana too. They can't sell their way to a profit because they can't get the cars. They can't lower their cost because there's not enough cars. The costs are spiking. So that's why their stock's in a death spiral, and it's just a matter of time before they file for bankruptcy.
Yeah. Yeah, and I think they're trying every desperation move they possibly can. I've been keeping up with them. And did you hear about the latest, that they sold a stolen car to
Hmm.
somebody? Did you hear about
Sure.
this Maserati?
Yeah. Well, and they've been selling the wrong cars to people for years because they're buying them at the auction. And now you keep in mind they own Odessa Auto Auction. What's left of Odessa? They bought the physical auction, so they own the auction. So they're hot selling the cars as soon as they're in the auction run, selling them on Carvana. They may not even have the title yet. And then if there's a title issue or they sell the wrong car, now it's a nightmare and it takes months to clean up. So yeah, there's lots of issues.
A lot of people don't know that Carvana was started by Ernie Garcia the second, who started Drive Time.
Hmm.
And because he's a convicted ex-con, yes, that's right, a convicted ex-con, hence he uses his son, Ernie Garcia the third, as his puppet.
Hmm.
That's pretty much
Well,
what they're doing.
yeah, and they do a lot of business back and forth between each other. When Carvana needs cars, they buy the aged units from Drive Time and then pop them to Carvana. So Drive Time's privately held, Carvana's publicly held. You
Mhm.
can get some money to Drive Time, switch the cars to Carvana. If you sell them for a loss there, so it's
Yeah.
it's really a shell game between the two companies. I think at some point what'll happen is Carvana will file bankruptcy because there is no floodgate of used cars coming open. They're not going to have enough inventory. They're not going to be able to outrun their cost or cut their cost enough to make it profitable. And once they do that, drive the cost down enough, drive time can buy them for pennies on the dollar and pick up the physical structures, and they'll move on because drive time makes money. But drive time does everything that the ads say Carvana
Yeah.
doesn't. I mean, drive time's an old school
Yep.
high pressure hammer you dealership, and
Yep.
it's the exact opposite of what Carvana says they are. So it's weird, but I mean, you can see it coming.
It's an interesting take. I never even really thought about that, but basically because drive time is private, Carvana is public, they can just go back into just being private and they can,
Yeah, and I know they're not supposed to be doing business between themselves. They're supposed to be, fiduciary responsibility to
sure.
shop to vendors, but surprisingly, almost all the business ends up going to drive time.
This is very, very interesting.
And there's lots of good articles on it too if you just search.
Oh yeah. Yeah. There was an amazing video. And if anybody ever wants this video, I found it, it was on YouTube and they literally did a rendition of like, I think it was Ernie Garcia the second started a company called, was it called Ugly Duckling? Is that what it was?
Ugly Duckling Cars, yeah,
Yeah,
which became drive time.
which became Drive Time. And Drive Time is just a shit place to deal with. And they totally take advantage of people. Just like you said, it's everything that Carvana said they're not going to do, even though they do.
hmm
Carvana takes majorly advantage because they have to. If they don't, if they're they're like offering people a lot of money for their cars, and I'm
They have
telling
to.
people
Yeah.
that, you know what, they can offer you anything, but when you don't see your check one day because they're out of business, that's going to be a little bit of a problem, isn't it?
Yeah, I mean that hasn't been happening, but they are
Not yet.
paying.
Not
They're
yet.
paying. Yeah, no, they're paying way too much for the cars. So
Yep.
it's at a certain point you're going to hit where it's untenable to sell the used cars.
Yeah.
Like we were talking about, if you have $50,000 used cars and you're financing them at an average of 9%,
Yeah.
you're getting up to a mortgage in some cases. It's about 20 bucks a thousand, and then add a little bit extra for the interest rates, you're
Yep.
easily at 1,200, 1,300 a month. There's not that many people that want to swing a 1,300 a month car payment, especially on a used car.
Yep. And it's interesting you say because it used to be $20 per thousand on a 5 year, and that's the easiest way to figure out a
hmm
5 year loan. Well, now you're probably 22, $23 at
Yeah,
least
you're about 20 on a 72 now.
on a 72, right?
Yeah, yeah, pretty close.
Yeah. And 72, I mean, here, I have my thoughts on that, but most people are not keeping their cars 6 years. So then they're going to wind up being underwater in their car. They're not going to be able to get out of it. And if prices drop, depending on what car you have, you're in trouble.
Well, now that is one other thing that changed though during the COVID period. The average car on the road in America now is 12 years and 6 months.
Because
And you
people
you
have,
take a look at a 2011. They look ancient. Is the car that old? Can it still drive? Sure. But you take a look at it now, it looks absolutely ancient because you don't have all the electronics on the dash. You don't
Mhm.
have the backup cameras. You don't have blips. You don't have electric parking brakes. You don't have satellite radio. Maybe you do, but that would be about it. Now you have basically computers on your dash. So the cars just look ancient. That is the average age of a car in America now. That's the average. So that means there's a lot that are older too. There's a lot of 18, 19-year-old cars driving around there. So people
well,
are keeping their cars longer, which I think is exasperating some of people's opinions about dealerships because people are coming in and, if you're not looking for a car actively, you may not really even notice that there aren't that many cars on the dealership lots. You may not even really be aware that the prices have spiked up that much. You walk into a dealership and say, "Hey, I want to get a I want to get a Corolla for about $12,000. And then the salespeople look at it like, yeah, no, we don't have any. We have no cars under 20. And the response is going to be something like, are you insane? What do you mean you don't have any? And then those people are going dealership to dealership and just getting disgusted, which is, really probably indirectly giving Carvana and Vroom and some of the other online sources a little bit of a lifeline because it's going to have to buy from somewhere. And, they see the people at the dealership, like my friend Grady, the sales badger, up over my shoulder, just looking to rip them off. So it's creating a weird dynamic.
It's interesting. So, for all you that are just joining us, we're talking again with Gerald Bentley for our second week in a row. This is part two. We are talking about, we're hitting like, we're really talking about Carvana and the Vroom and these business models that are not going to make it. They're doing illegal practices. We're getting ready to talk about the future of car dealerships. And I really want to talk about electric cars too. And let's talk about, let's actually get into the future of car dealerships, because there's so many people talking about, oh well, dealerships are going to be eliminated, but there's franchise laws in place, right, to
Hmm.
protect the dealer. What do you think's going to happen? Obviously, they're with electric cars, which we'll talk about here in a second, but electric cars will go, they can go straight to the from the manufacturer to the consumer. But still, with the internal combustion engine cars, the normal cars, the gas engine cars, they are not able to right now. What do you think is going to happen in the future with that?
Well, I think the time is going to take a lot longer than you think. I mean, uh, did anyone think that after basically everything shut down for 3, 4 months
Yeah,
with the
about three
COVID
months.
lockdowns? 3, 4 months.
Yeah.
Did anyone think at the time that we would still be dealing with the repercussions of a 3 month shutdown in terms of inventory?
No.
It's 3 years out and we're still dealing with it.
Yep.
So the amount of time it'll take to get everything ramped up to switching to all electric, it's going to take a long, long time. There's not the infrastructure in place, there's not the supplies in place. There's battery plants being built all over the country now. Um, Hyundai, Ford, GM, Panasonic's building a huge one just outside of Kansas City. Massive factory, but it's going to take 4 years to get up and running. So until those battery supplies are in place, the economics of scale aren't going to be there to really mass produce the cars anyways. And we're 9 million cars short of what we should have on the road now. I'm sure you have customers that have totaled out a car and it's panic mode because they can't find anything to replace it.
Yep.
So how are you going to eliminate the cars that are readily available to be made and replace it with cars that just aren't able to be produced right now? It's going to have to be a matter of ramping it up, which is going to take time. Here, how many cars, how many GM EV Hummers do you think
Hmm.
were delivered in the first quarter nationally?
I actually knew that number, and I don't have it sitting in front of me anymore.
It's
But
real small,
oh, I know it is. Yeah.
too. They're on a stop sale. It looks great, but it's $100,000 high-end SUV. Now, the better test, the proof of concept will be when the Equinox EV and the Blazer EV come out, because those are great looking concept cars. They're going to be down in the 30s.
Hmm.
If they can actually crank those out and sell them at a level that they were selling the regular Equinox at, okay. Well, now you have proof of concept. You have
Right.
an actual working example that, hey, we can make enough of these. People love them. It's going to work. But, you need to see if that can actually happen. The only company that's really cranking a ton of them out is, of course, Tesla. And then Tesla is running into issues with not having service departments. Some of their service issues are 3, 4, 5 months delayed, and they're pulling salespeople out to do service.
Yep.
And guess what? They're realizing they need to have. Gee, what thing has a sales department to help sell the cars
A
A
dealership.
department to help sell the used cars after they trade it in, and someplace to fix them. Yeah, a dealership.
Yeah.
So that's what's coming. I mean, you can only grow so much. Eventually you can't outrun yourself, and that's kind of where Tesla's falling now.
It's very interesting you should say that because I can use an analogy between Carvana and Tesla is that they grew so quickly they couldn't keep up with it. And I feel like you're exactly right about Tesla too, because when you need something done at Tesla, it's a long time before it's done because there's just, like you said, the infrastructure is not there. And I've been preaching this for a while. I don't believe the infrastructure is there for electric cars either.
Not
And
right now.
no, you can't just go to, well, and it depends on where you're at too. So I had I had seen an article like in California they have so many charging stations, but if you go to St.
Sure.
Louis here, I mean like in our entire city we probably have 4 charging stations.
Oh, there's more than that,
I
but
don't think so.
it's not comparable to a gas station.
No, there's hardly any.
Yeah. And Washington Post just did an article saying that at any given point, a third of the electric charging stations in the country are down because of
Yeah,
software glitches. They
I
need to
saw
do
that.
a digital handshake with every model, tying to the ECU of the car to the charger to control how much electricity goes into it, and
Yep.
that needs lots of updating and has proven to be kind of glitchy.
Yep.
So it's not quite as simple as it seems. Now, once the big companies get going, you would have to think Ford actually has done well with the Mustang Mach-E. I think Ford's done well with that. They're doing well with the Lightning. It's not at the volume, but
Mm-mm.
you got to think if Ford, General Motors, Toyota, Hyundai, they commit to it and they say, okay, we got it. Let's go. They're going to do fine. And Toyota didn't become the most respected mass manufacturer of motorized equipment in the world by accident. If they commit to it and they want to do it, they'll do it well.
Mhm.
It's just going to take a little time. Tesla's had a 4 or 5 year head start, but that margin can narrow pretty quickly because they have, in the case of Toyota and Hyundai, they have basically unlimited money, unlimited resources. If they want to go, they can go and make it work really fast.
Yeah. Yeah, and like you said, it's the brand that people trust.
Hmm.
You know, they anytime somebody comes to us and like if they're looking for an older car for their son or daughter, I want a Toyota or Honda,
Yeah,
you know, and of course
Toyota,
they
Honda,
want
Subaru.
and at a low price, but that's another story. So what do you think about the future of car dealerships though, as far as do you think that we're going to see an elimination of car dealerships? Do you think that the dealership model that we know right now is not going to happen in the future?
Now, I think to paraphrase Mark Twain, the rumors of my death have been greatly exaggerated.
Uh-huh.
Now, my friend Grady in the back there, Grady the sales badger, his days are numbered.
Uh-huh.
You know, the old bad sport coat wearing, chain smoking salesperson who walks out there and goes, so hey, can I sell you a car?
Yeah.
That guy's done. But there's going to be an avenue for tech savvy, customer focused people
Mhm.
to create a relationship and to help somebody out because that's still what separates people is having the ability to make a relationship, create a bond, make it seem like you're really trying to help and have the person believe in you and then do it and have that championship mentality in what you're doing that you want to be successful and in being successful you're going to help out whoever you're helping. If dealerships do that, they'll do just fine. Dealerships that are, you know, the old school, not trying to help. Customers call back and they leave 10 voicemail messages, you don't return one. No, they'll fail, and they are. Uh, time is against them, and that's why you're seeing small dealerships being gobbled up by other dealerships because they can't compete anymore. I mean,
Yeah.
I would have loved for the organization that you and I were consulting to have strung up the money to have bought a couple of dealerships because I think the opportunity is there,
Yeah.
because there's so many that are ran so badly
Hmm.
and just have failed to adapt with the times
It's
and
interesting you
just
say that
just
because,
stuck in the 80s.
yeah, the way I see this is because the reason why we started iAuto Agent is because I worked in the dealership world for 18 years prior to doing that. And oh my goodness, I worked for the largest dealership group in Tyre, Missouri. And I said, if I were to take a video camera into any of our sales meetings, you would never buy a car. And I won't say the name of the company right now, but you will never buy a car at this company ever again. And if you want to
Sure.
know it, I'll be happy to share that with you on an offline. Um, and they're one of the best. In fact, I had a client I will never forget through our vehicle finder program that went to this company. We found the perfect vehicle for him. They go in and sit down with Guido's cousin in the finance office, and they told him not one time, not two times, not three times, not four times, but five times that they did not want to buy the products that they were selling them, and they got in a shouting match with each other. And then I got a message from the general manager saying that we are what did he say? We're teaching our clients to not buy this stuff, and you know you're being I don't even know what the word is. What's the word I'm looking for? That we're coaching. We're
Coaching them to
coaching.
not buy. Yeah.
Yeah, we're coaching them to not buy. And it's like, listen, they're human beings. They can do whatever the hell they want. And so we're not even doing business with them anymore. Because I mean, that is just a tactic that people don't like.
Yeah, well, and you're seeing the increases in federal regulation are going to that F&I
Mhm.
office because you're going to have to sell those products on their merits. Explain to people that the average internal repair on a car now is $2,400, and I can get you a warranty that covers the car for 6 years or 100,000 miles
Mhm.
for 2195. Doesn't it make sense to protect yourself
Oh
against
yeah.
having to maybe lay out $2,000-3,000 at one time versus paying an extra $30 a month for 5 years?
Yep.
You see the value in that, don't you? But a lot of times that's not happening. There's not that full presentation. People
No.
aren't getting a menu. They're not seeing the options that are available. They're not seeing it broken down to an increment of a few dollars a month.
Yep.
Maybe they're given a payment range and that range has the warranties jammed in it. And then when you have to show the truth in lending document, people go, wait a minute. Hey, why is it so much lower? Oh, well, that's the extended warranty. Well, if that's your method of selling an extended warranty, yeah, you're doomed to fail
Yep.
because you're afraid to even talk about your own product. Why would somebody buy it
Yep. And
when
I'm a
the
huge
actual value of it is great and you just have to be honest and explain it? It's just a little bit harder, but a lot of times good things are hard. You know,
yep.
a lot
And
of
I
things that are worthwhile, they're not easy. You have to work a little bit to get there. And unfortunately, I think what's going to happen is the successful dealers are the ones who realize if you're going to be successful, you have to work for it. And the ones who are trying to just skim by and really deceive and fool people, they'll fail, and they'll be ran over, and somebody will buy them out because you are seeing that happen a lot.
oh yeah, I mean with and I agree so much with vehicle service contracts. I agree that we provide those to our clients, and we do a full, like, thorough, like, here's the expectations that you have, and here's the reality, of these products. Man, I could talk to you all day. I mean, this is part
Yeah,
two. I want to just thank you, Gerald,
sure.
for joining us. And Gerald Bentley, he has two different companies. Dealership Rescue, where he is a consultant, and he's helping dealers do things the right way. And then he also has Wrestling with Sales, and we'll put those links in the show notes so you can reach out to Gerald if you have any questions, comments, just anything. Just simply put it in the comments section, and we'll respond to them. Really appreciate everybody joining us today. And Gerald, thanks again for coming for a
Sure.
second week. And we will see you next week.
Awesome. Thanks.